my girlfriend at the time was telling me that, hey, like we should go invest in this property, right? I'm like, yeah, sure. I was just working my first ever like I just finished school. I was working this like rotational job with TD Bank. Pretty much, she was like, yeah, like you're making money now. Like, yeah, you should like invest in a property. I'm like, okay, sure, sounds good. So she's like, hey, like my uncle's a real estate agent. You want to go ahead and like view this house in like this town, and we can go like purchase it. I'm like, okay, yeah, sounds good. So I asked her, I'm like, wait, how much do you need for signing? She's like, I think $500 is good. I'm like, $500? She's like, when I got my condo, like that's how much I did for signing. Like, and I'm like, okay, $500 for a house signing. I'm like, that's solid. And then I was budgeting in my head. I'm like, okay, maybe in the next couple of months, like they require this X amount of money. Yeah, that works. I get there. And this is funny. I bring my dad with me, and then she brings her dad with me. Like our pops meet for the first time. So I'm like, okay, cool, nice to meet you. Sit down, and the lady's like, all right, this is the house. I'm like, okay, looks good. How much is it? 840K. Okay, this is the plan. It'll get built in like 2.5 years or so. And her uncle was able to extend the deposit plan. Okay, sounds good. So how much do we owe you on the first day? Yeah, $20,000. I mean, $500 was there if they needed it, but thank God. It would have been embarrassing if I had like a draft for $500 ready. I'm keeping my cool. My dad's looking at me. And for me, like I'm selfish in the sense of I don't want to ask my parents for money because they've already done so much for me. Like I need to find out the hard way of saving for property so that I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna do it myself. But this was an unexpected cost, unexpected opportunity. And pretty much I looked at her, she looked at me, and she's just like, oh shit, I told this guy $500 and now it's like $10,000 per person for 20K. I'm like, yeah, for sure. Can you give me 5 minutes while I go arrange? I'll go get you the deposit and come back. My dad looks at me. He's like, okay, you got this? I'm like, yeah, I got this. I step out, make a phone call to my uncle. And till this day, that guy has a special place in my heart. He always told me, if you need a start or if you need any help, let me know and I will lend you money personally. I told him, I'm like, hey, I came to sign a house with my girlfriend. He's like, yo, congrats. And I told her, she told me $500, but it's actually $10,000. And he started laughing. And he's like, I got you. The man went in his pajamas and wife beater to RBC and wire transferred me $10,000, and I got the draft and I signed it. I literally walk out holding, the documents. I'm like, I just pulled the trigger on a house unexpectedly. And I tell this to other people too. Pull the trigger when you have to. Like it will be like the more you think about it, the more you wait, the opportunity will be gone. When life comes and there's an opportunity knocking at the door, go answer it because you never will know when it'll come back for that opportunity, especially at that time in like 2019. I ended up, luckily at the job I worked at had overtime. So I was working extra hours, making sure that every 6 months we would have to give like the deposit to make sure we got it. And it took like, 2 years to fully put the deposit down, pay back my uncle in time. And I wanted to make sure, money never got in the way for family. We got the house. We ended up, finding a tenant, gave it for rent.